We are living in an era where silence is considered an enemy and stillness is mistaken for failure. We are a species addicted to speed, terrified that if we stop moving, we will cease to exist. We fill every gap in our day with noise, scrolling, and productivity, believing that doing more is the only path to becoming more. But look at the world around you. The storm is destructive because it is chaotic, while the mountain is powerful because it is still. What if the secret to achieving your greatest potential was not to run faster, but to stop running altogether? What if the answers you are desperately seeking are already screaming at you, but the noise of your own life is too loud to hear them? The ancient Taoist masters called this Wu Wei the art of effortless action or doing nothing. It is not laziness, nor is it passivity. It is the supreme intelligence of the universe flowing through you without resistance. Imagine a bow and arrow. The power of the shot does not come from the frantic movement of the archer, but from the stillness of the hold before the release. If the archer cannot be still, the arrow will never find its mark. Today we will turn off the engine of the world and descend into the sanctuary of silence. We will explore 10 meditative lessons on the hidden power of doing nothing and how stillness can accomplish what force never could. Narrator: the great philosopher Lao Tzu wrote, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Consider the forest. The trees do not strain to grow, they do not stress about the changing seasons, and they do not compete with the wind. They simply are, and in that being they achieve a height and strength that no human architecture can mimic. When you force your life, when you struggle against the current of reality, you are like a swimmer trying to swim upstream against a raging waterfall. You exhaust your energy, you drown in your own effort, and you move nowhere. Wu Wei is the wisdom of floating. It is the realization that the river is already going where you want to go. Doing nothing in this sense means removing the friction of your ego. It means aligning your actions with the natural flow of circumstances rather than trying to bend the world to your will. When you stop forcing, you become a vessel for the universe's power. You accomplish more by doing less because your actions become precise, timed, and infinitely powerful. Narrator: your mind is like a glass of muddy water. Constant thinking, worrying, and planning are the spoon that keeps stirring the sediment. As long as you are doing fixing, analyzing, obsessing, the water remains cloudy, and you cannot see the bottom. The more you try to clear the water by pushing the mud down with your hands, the dirtier it becomes. This is the paradox of control. The more you try to force clarity, the more confused you become. The only way to clear the water is to leave it alone. You must place the glass on the table and step back. This is the power of doing nothing. In the absence of interference, the heavy thoughts settle on their own accord, and the water returns to its natural state of transparency. Wisdom does not come from thinking more. It comes from the moments when you stop thinking. Clarity is not a prize you win by chasing it. It is the default state of a mind that has learned to be still. Narrator: we are obsessed with fullness, a full schedule, a full bank account, a full mind. But the Tao Te Ching reminds us, we shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. A room is only useful because of the empty space between the walls. If it were filled with brick, it would not be a room, but a solid block. Your value as a human being is not found in how cluttered you are, but in how much space you can hold. When you are constantly doing, you are filling your vessel to the brim. There is no room for new ideas, no room for spontaneity, and no room for the divine to enter. Doing nothing creates a vacuum, a sacred space of emptiness. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so when you empty yourself of busyness, inspiration rushes in to fill the void. To be useful to the world, you must be empty of yourself. You must become the flute, hollow and open, allowing the breath of life to play its music through you. Look at the seasons. Summer is the time of high energy and outward expansion, but it cannot last forever. If the trees bloomed all year round, they would exhaust their resources and die. Winter is the season of doing nothing. The world freezes, the animals hibernate, and the fields lie fallow under the snow. To the untrained eye, it looks like death. It looks like a waste of time. But deep underground, in the dark silence, the roots are strengthening, gathering the nutrients required for the explosion of spring. You are a part of nature, not separate from it. You cannot live in eternal summer. You require periods of winter, periods of dormancy where you produce nothing so that you can become everything. Do not judge your stillness as laziness. It is incubation. You are not stalling. You are gathering the strength to bloom more brilliantly than before. Imagine a guitar string. If you tune it too tightly, it will snap. If you leave it too loose, it will not play music. The middle way of Zen is the balance between tension and relaxation. Modern life encourages us to keep the string tight, to live in a state of chronic high tension. We believe that stress is a sign of importance, but a taut string cannot vibrate freely. It produces a screech, not a melody. Doing nothing is the act of loosening the tuning peg just enough to find the perfect pitch. When you relax into the moment, your actions become fluid and musical. You move with a rhythm that is sustainable rather than a frantic pace that leads to breaking. The music of your life arises from the silence between the notes. If there is no pause, there is no song, only continuous noise. In Taoism, there is a concept called Pu, or the uncarved block. It represents the state of pure potential, simple and honest, before it is carved by the desires and expectations of society. We spend our lives trying to carve ourselves into something better, a success, a celebrity, a perfect partner. We chip away at our essence, trying to fit into molds that were not made for us. Doing nothing is the practice of putting down the chisel. It is returning to your original nature, the part of you that was content before the world told you to want more. When you stop trying to be something, you are free to be anything. The uncarved block is stronger than the intricate statue because it has not been weakened by the cutting. Rest in your own simplicity. You do not need to add anything to yourself to be worthy. You only need to stop carving away your own peace. Zen teaching compares the mind to a house. Thoughts, emotions, and sensory experiences are the guests that come and go. Some guests are happy, some are angry, and some are boring. But you, the awareness, the soul, you are the host. The problem arises when the host forgets who he is and runs after the guests. We chase a happy thought trying to keep it, or we fight an angry thought trying to evict it. Doing nothing means staying in your seat as the host. You welcome the guests, you offer them tea, but you do not leave the house with them. Let the thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. If you do not engage with them, if you do nothing to hold them, they will naturally depart. Your power lies in your position as the observer. The guest changes. The host remains. Blaise Pascal famously said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. We are terrified of boredom. When we feel the itch of nothingness, we immediately scratch it with a phone, a snack, or a distraction. We treat boredom as a sickness, but boredom is not a dead end. It is a gateway. Just past the threshold of boredom lies the fertile land of creativity and self-discovery. When you force your brain to do nothing, it begins to daydream, to connect unrelated ideas, to solve problems that logic could not touch. Do not kill your boredom. Sit with it until it transforms. The muddiest part of the swamp is often where the lotus flower blooms. In mathematics, the number 0 has no value of its own, yet it adds value to every other number. Without the 0, the 10, the 100, and the 1,000 cannot exist. Doing nothing is the 0 point of your life. It is the reset button that gives meaning to your actions. If you write a sentence without spaces between the words, it becomes unreadable. If you play music without silence, it becomes noise. You need the zeros, the spaces, the pauses. They define the boundaries of your work and give your life its structure. By consciously choosing to do nothing, you are placing a 0 behind your efforts, multiplying their effectiveness by 10. The perfect Zen mind is likened to a mirror. A mirror reflects red when red is before it, and blue when blue is before it. It does not cling to the red after the red has gone. It does not anticipate the blue before the blue arrives. It simply reflects, doing nothing but being. We suffer because we are like photographic film. We try to capture and hold on to every image, layering them until everything is a blur. Doing nothing is wiping the mirror clean. It is the practice of meeting every moment fresh, without the residue of the past moment. When you are a mirror, you are never tired because you carry no weight. You allow the world to pass through you, leaving you untouched and pristine. So here is the challenge, and it is the hardest one you will ever face. Stop, not for a vacation, not to recharge so you can work harder, but simply to be. Put down the weight of the world. It will spin without you for a while. Trust in the power of the pause. Trust that in the silence you will find the you that you have been running from. Doing nothing is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of the journey home.